So the standard American diet, which is basically the Western diet, is pretty well documented as being a pretty bad thing in many ways for your physical health. But it's also quite detrimental for your mental and emotional well-being as well, and for your recovery journey. It can limit things, when there's potential to explore other diets that could really help your recovery and your well-being. So I'm not a dietitian or professional in the field in any way, but I've done a lot of research and I've got some ideas I'd like to share with you for your consideration, for you to think about. And what I put together is what I call the standard Enlightened diet. And there's 3 principles to it, and then there's 3 things to help you achieve it. And I think one of the first things that's different about this approach is it doesn't get into specifics. It's just 3 broad, sensible, good principles for your diet that could really help your recovery, help your emotional, your mental well-being, help your energy, help you in your resilience, help you in many ways. And I think that the best way to know is whether or not this diet will help you or not is what I call a study of one. Just start embracing this diet and then see, does it work for you? That's in many ways the best evidence that it's a good diet for you. So, and of course, if you have any medical concerns and you're going changing your diet or exercise routine in any way, consult with the professionals. So the first one I would just say is a simple thing called intermittent fasting, which you may have heard a lot about. But I think when you get used to it, you don't think of it as intermittent fasting. It's just a sensible thing to do. So for example, I'd suggest your first meal is at 12, because you don't need any breakfast. It's not them, it's only marketing that tells us it's the most important meal of the day. It's perfectly fine not to have a breakfast, to get up and get on with your day. And you could have a coffee, or you could have a green tea, or you could have water or whatever, in the morning. And then at 12, have your first meal. And then at 5, have your second meal, and no snacking. And that's a nice, simple way to do intermittent fasting. And it's actually, when you do it, you don't think of it as intermittent fasting. It's just that's how I eat. That's my routine. So that's one principle. And the next one is low or no carbs, because there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate or sugar. So it's low and no carbs and sugar, really. And just eat foods that are like that. And you can think of foods that would have a lower glycemic index, which you might want to look into as well to help you achieve that diet. And the last principle then, just no junk food or low junk food. I think the body can handle junk food every now and again, but if it's coming at it constantly, it doesn't give it time to recover. So, if you want to have a slice of cake once a week with a friend in a coffee shop or something like that, it's lovely, Or maybe you don't need to do that and you're okay. So just low, those will be 3 principles to which to approach a diet that can really help you in recovery, in your well-being, in your energy. Now, so then these are 3 ideas to help you achieve this diet. So the first one is, I call it approximation. So it's not some diet that you have to, strictly abide by. It's like those 3 principles. How do I get a bit closer to them in my life? How do you, discover and explore what that principle might look like? You can adjust the hours for intermittent fasting. You can, check it out and do different things. So what does low or no carbs look like for me? And what does low or no junk food look like for me? And do I have a cheat day every now and again? Do I, whatever, discover what works for you. And, let's just take on intermittent fasting. Maybe, you start off and you just have a lighter breakfast. And then you have a more significant meal at 12, and then another meal at 5, and then a really light snack maybe later on. And you work on that and you say, okay, well, I'm okay. Maybe I've gotten into my routine at work now that I don't really get worried about have a coffee in the morning, and I just don't even think about food until 12. So you're kind of just working towards it, kind of sculpting this intermittent fasting diet for yourself and what it might look like. And then I think just also bear in mind that you might just say, you know what, I can eat everything I want all day. I'm just going to stop at 6. So I have a nice 3 or 4 hours to digest everything and get it through my system before I sleep. Because going to sleep with food inside you is can be You can feel better in the morning, let's say, if you go to bed on an empty stomach, or a stomach where the food has been processed, because the kind of processing pauses when you go to sleep. It just sits there. It's not that good. So that could be an example. You could just say the rule is I'm not going to eat after 5 or 6 and have whatever I want during the day. So, I'm not going to eat after 5 or 6 when I'm going to cut out snacks. I'm just going to have 3 meals during the day. And you're kind of approaching and figuring out what works for you. And maybe your Monday to Friday might look a certain way, and you might want to make some differences then on you maybe get up a bit early and you like to have a nice big breakfast in the morning on a Saturday with your family or your friends or whatever. So it's this idea of approximation is one of the principles that will help you work towards it over time. Just building new habits and finding new ways of doing things. And the next thing is meaning, that when you are embracing this new diet, just reflect on its meaning, its impact on you. Think about what are your important life goals. If you have more energy and more focus, you're going to achieve them. So it's not just that you're eating this food, but the way you're choosing to eat is going to help you achieve really meaningful things. I think you could also think of maybe the impact on the fact if you're a healthier person, you're creating a healthier world and a healthier economy and a healthier society. And if we'll come back to that one actually in a minute when we talk about the third idea for helping us to achieve it. But also meaning and sense. Maybe you're thinking, okay, where is this food coming from? How can I think about purchasing food that is not going to do any harm and work towards that and increase the meaning that way? So it's almost making a spiritual event in some ways, or a mindfulness towards eating. And then the last idea to help you achieve this diet is this idea of doing it together. One of the reasons why it's so hard to break out of the standard American diet or the Western diet is because that's just what everybody is doing, and we are social creatures and we live together and we kind of influence each other. So but if we all start taking on this standard enlightened diet, and that just becomes our culture, how we do it, how everybody does it. We all get together for our main meal at 12 and share this wonderful kind of no junk food, low or no carb, kind of delicious, fulfilling, nutrient-rich, life-giving meal. And we do the same thing at 5. Fantastic. Just try it. Just this idea that doing it together is a big deal, and doing it with friends and doing it collectively, and then seeing meals as a special time to the meaningfulness of how we have chosen consciously to develop our diet. So that's, and then you can always, as it grows and develops, you can always refine, because you might think, okay, what about water? I think there is this push that we need to be constantly drinking huge amounts of water and constantly sipping on it all day, which I think is just, again, another marketing thing. I think the truth is we probably just need a glass of water in the morning and maybe another glass of water in the evening when you feel thirsty. And just drink a little bit more than, that calms your thirst and you're fine. And just a little bit more than that maybe to make sure you have enough. But the body regulates the water. It doesn't need huge amounts of water. And in fact, there may be negative consequences to having too much water flooding through the system and what that does. So it's just an example of, and also here's another little thing. You might discover that you have a glass of water in the morning, and if you don't have any water during the day, and then when you have that glass of water in the evening and you're a little bit thirsty, it will have a wonderful effect. Actually, there's a bit of a rush from it. I think there's some studies showing that when you do that, you can feel uplifted and happy, and that's a nice thing to do every day. It's just a nice little routine to add into the mix. There's all kinds of interesting ways. So this is the idea of us all collectively embracing a standard enlightened diet, so that we're more resilient in life, so that we're happier, more energy, think better, can do a much better job of having long-term health outcomes and avoiding chronic diseases and so on. So it's just something to think about, something to talk about between us, have conversations, see how we want to work on the 3 principles of the diet, and then the 3 of how we can achieve that diet. So hope you found it helpful. Please leave comments, please like, please share, please feel free to I don't think you should ask questions of me because I'm not an expert in any of this. I just have a curiosity and interest in it. I'm much more interested in having an intriguing dialogue with people about these ideas.